Ever feel like you're in an echo chamber, especially when you're grappling with those really tough business decisions? When everyone's just nodding along.
Yeah, absolutely.
But deep down, you're not sure if they genuinely agree or if they're just trying to.
Yeah, not rock the boat.
Exactly, not rock the boat. That's where I think peer advisory boards come in. They can be your secret weapon against, that stagnant thinking. They're kind of like a specialized mastermind group, but laser focused on business leaders and the challenges they face.
Right.
And, we've got some really interesting research here today. It suggests that these boards can provide some really unique support, insights, and solutions you might not find anywhere else. So I'm really eager to get your take on this whole concept.
Yeah.
What makes these peer advisory boards so powerful? What is it about their structure and the way they operate that makes them so beneficial for leaders?
Well, I think it really boils down to a very basic need that all of us have as leaders.
Yeah.
And that is the need for a space, a safe space where we can bounce ideas off of each other, get honest feedback, and learn from those who've actually been there and done that. People who've walked in our shoes. I like to think of it as almost like a personal board of directors.
I like that.
But instead of having your superiors, it's your peers.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because one of the things that really jumps out at me from the research is this idea of having an unbiased sounding board. Why is that element so crucial for someone who's running a business?
Well, think about it. As a leader, you're often making decisions in a bit of a vacuum.
Yeah, you're at the top, right?
You're at the top. You might have a team that you rely on. You might have mentors. You might even have a coach. But the dynamic is completely different when you're surrounded by your equals who understand the unique pressures and challenges that you face as a leader.
Yeah, that shared experience.
Exactly. And that's what peer advisory boards really tap into, is this collective wisdom of the group. They can help you see your blind spots, challenge your assumptions, and push you to think differently.
Yeah, I love that. And that's where I think the benefits that are listed in our research become so powerful.
Yeah.
You've got people who've walked in your shoes providing that support and those insights. You're getting access to this critical up-to-the-minute information, which I think is especially valuable for smaller businesses that might not have those massive, research and development departments or access to the same kind of data that a larger company might have.
Absolutely.
But what I found particularly insightful was how peer advisory boards can offer proven solutions to challenges you might not even realize you're facing because you're so close to the situation, right?
That's right.
You're in the weeds.
It's hard to see the forest for the trees, as they say.
Yeah. So can you give us an example of how that might play out in a real-world scenario, like, let's say, pricing? That's something that a lot of businesses struggle with, right?
Absolutely. Pricing is a great example. Imagine you're a business owner and you need to increase prices to maintain profitability, but you're terrified of losing customers.
Sure.
Right? This is a dilemma that many business owners face.
Every day.
Every day. So you bring this dilemma to your peer advisory board. Your peers, who have likely faced similar situations, can share their own experiences, their strategies, maybe even data on how they successfully navigated price increases.
Right.
They can provide real-world examples of what worked, what didn't, and what kind of impact it had on their business.
And you can learn from their mistakes.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, and the fear. It's like having a safety net almost. Okay, so that's pricing. But what about something like expanding into new markets? That's another big challenge that businesses face, and it can be really daunting. How would a peer board approach something like that?
Let's say you're considering expanding into a new region. Your board can help you analyze the market, identify potential partners, even connect you with resources on the ground in that new region. They can also offer insights on regulatory hurdles that you might not be aware of, cultural nuances, and strategies for tailoring your product or service to this new market. It becomes this incredible sounding board for your expansion strategy.
It's amazing. It's like having a team of consultants, but they're people you trust.
Exactly, and they have a vested interest in your success. They want to see you succeed.
Right, because your success is their success too, in a way. It's fascinating. Now, one thing I noticed in the research is that it mentions both virtual and face-to-face boards. So what are your thoughts on the pros and cons of each?
Well, it really depends on the individual needs and preferences of the group. Face-to-face boards definitely have that advantage of fostering deeper personal connections,
Right, you're breaking bread together, getting to know each other on a more personal level.
Exactly, and those strong relationships are invaluable. But on the other hand, virtual boards offer incredible accessibility, especially for busy leaders or those who are geographically dispersed.
Right. You're not limited by location?
Exactly. And thanks to technology, we can have these really rich, engaging discussions online. For many, that convenience and flexibility outweigh the benefits of meeting in person.
So you have the best of both worlds almost.
You can, absolutely.
That's great. Speaking of real-world examples, the research highlights Jack Dermody and the impact that a peer advisory board had on his company. Can you remind our listeners about his experience? What were some of the specific benefits he saw?
Yeah, so Jack Dermody, who is the facilitator-in-chief of a company called Four Windows, credits a lot of his company's growth to being part of a peer advisory board. He saw improvements in a number of different areas. For example, he, like many business owners, was struggling with reaching the right customers, getting that targeted marketing down. His peer group helped him refine his ideal customer profile, identify the most effective marketing channels for reaching those customers, and really track his return on investment from those marketing efforts. And that really helped him understand what was working and what wasn't.
Right. So it's about being more strategic with your marketing.
Exactly. And it led to a significant increase in sales for his business.
Wow, that's incredible.
The board also helped him with joint ventures, which gave him access to new partnerships and collaborations that he might not have otherwise found. They provided invaluable advice on pricing models as well, which we were just talking about, and helped him refine his social media strategy.
Right. That's another huge area for businesses these days.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how, in Dermody's case, the peer board helped him make tangible improvements in all these different areas of his business. It wasn't just about vague notions of support. It was about real, concrete results.
Absolutely. And that's what makes these boards so powerful. They're not just talking shops. They're about taking action and seeing real change in your business.
What role does a facilitator play in all of this?
Oh, the facilitator is crucial. They ensure that the discussions are productive, focused, and actually lead to actionable outcomes for everyone involved. They kind of keep everyone on track and make sure that the group stays focused on its goals.
Right, so they're kind of like the conductor of the orchestra, where everyone's playing in harmony.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So for our listener who's maybe hearing about peer advisory boards for the first time, what's the big takeaway here?
I'd say if you're feeling isolated as a leader, if you're lacking that objective feedback, or if you're simply craving a community of peers who understand your world, a peer advisory board could be transformative for you.
We've seen the potential, right there, the support, the insights, the solutions, and even, like in Dermody's case, accelerated business growth.
Exactly. And I think this brings up a really important question for you to consider. What's one challenge that you're facing right now in your business that you think a peer advisory board could help you with?
Good question.
Is it a strategic decision? Is it a marketing roadblock that you just can't seem to get past? Is it a leadership dilemma that's keeping you up at night? Whatever it is, it might be worth exploring how a peer board could help you overcome that challenge and take your business to the next level.
I love that. It's a call to action for our listeners.
Absolutely.
And if this has sparked your curiosity and you want to learn more, there's a wealth of information out there to help you understand peer advisory boards and how to find one that's the perfect fit for you and your business.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening.
And good luck on your leadership journey.
We'll see you next time.